Our favorite clown in black and white is back to paint himself red with the blood of his victims. And like the last movie, he has himself a lot of victims. I think everybody who shows their face and speaks in this movie becomes an Art the Clown victim. It's quite admirable the work Damien Leone does as a director when he comes to telling the stories that he's directing. He makes it somewhat predictable, but unpredictable at the same time. So let's clap him up, because he's brung us another banger. Or is it? Because we're back with Terrifier 3. Taking place a couple years after the events of Terrifier 2, Sienna is recovering from her whole entire family being murdered, and her practically being murdered and becoming a barbarian dark fantasy Wonder Woman to defeat a demonic clown. But Arthur's back in her life, and she must now defeat him before it kills her and everyone she loves. Does she succeed? Spoiler alert, she is terrible at this. I thought from where we ended the last movie, she would be ready to go. We were going to get our super warrior princess that's going to go against Art the Clown. But in this one, she's going through a traumatic situation. She's not a warrior princess. She's a PTSD queen. Granted, anybody who's dealt with Art the Clown and survives will have PTSD. That's just how your life will be presented to you. You won't go anywhere without seeing a P, a S, a T, and a D. I don't know in what subsequent orders they will come at you, but you're not living your life without seeing them. And this movie further proves that will be your life, because Art is back. He's back, and he's the same Art that you always loved. He's killing people in long, excruciating ways. He finds ways to kill people in the most creative ways that he sees to be the most fun for him. Definitely not fun for the person that is having to be mangled and killed in that situation, because Damien Leone always shows the facial expressions of the person that Art is mutilating, and they're either screaming or they're completely just out of it, like clinging on to the last bits of life that is left in them, while Art goes for another hack at their spinal cord. It's very visceral stuff. Every movie, he finds some way to make the audience go, "Oh, what the why would you do that?" And he's done it again. It doesn't rival that one scene from Terrifier 2, the bedroom scene from Terrifier 2, but it's pretty close. It's a scene in the shower. The only reason why it doesn't come as close as that one, because even though this one is very, very sadistic and mean-spirited and it's disgusting, that bedroom scene in Terrifier 2 is the definition of a mean-spirited kill in a movie. There will never be a movie that has a more mean-spirited death than that bedroom scene in Terrifier 2. That scene goes on for like 10 minutes of him just torturing, mutilating, slicing, burning, gouging this girl for about 10 minutes. He does some creative stuff in this one. He does torture people in this one. He does do bad things because he's Art the Clown. But he is still yet, even in this movie, he is still yet to top that bedroom scene in Terrifier 2. That is a scene that gets engraved into your mind and never leaves. Anytime I see Art on TikTok, anytime I see a picture of him, anytime I think of these movies, that scene plays in my head every single time. Even me as an audience member, Art has given me PTSD. He's very effective at what he does. And so is David Howard Thornton, the man behind Art the clown, his mannerisms, the way he plays him, how he moves his face, his comedic timing is A1. There's a scene towards the end of this movie with him and Sienna, and he just keeps smacking her on the back of the head. It was just hilarious every time. You can just see that this is a real rivalry between them two, and he has some sense of animosity towards her the same way she has senses of animosity towards him. And I love it that these two characters will be fighting against each other as two forces of good and evil for maybe the next movie or a couple of movies. I think I'll be okay with just one more. Unless he's going to really dive deep into the lore, we can get one more. And I mean, if he dives deeper into the lore, we can go further. But if he's just going to keep diving deep the way he's been diving deep lately in these movies, then yeah, let's just cap it off in the fourth film, and let's just be great with this quadology. I think that's what you will call it. I don't know. You got duology, you got trilogy, so I'm thinking this is a quadology, maybe. I'm going to call it that. If it's not that, we have comment sections for you to correct me. And that lore, as much as I like it, I do see it as a little bit, or maybe it's not as much as a distraction as I think it is, because like I said, I do like it, I do want it, but I'm not gonna lie, this third movie, it becomes a little bit clunky in its narrative. This shit is not as smooth, not as succinct as it was in the second movie. I felt like they wove in the dark fantasy story lore elements into the narrative of the second movie a lot more just smoothly. This one, it kind of just feels a little bit clunky, and it doesn't really show itself until the end, and it kind of just feels so far out of left field because it just hasn't been establishing itself throughout the movie. And then you get to this part and it is just dark fantasy fights, crazy light shows, sort of bit of explosions, foggy sets and things like that. It gets really weird. Granted, that happened in the second movie, but I felt like I said, it was woven into the narrative of the second movie. You're slowly building towards this dark fantastical element throughout the second movie. And this movie is kind of comes in as like plot armor, just to keep Sienna alive for the next movie. And they have conversations about it from the last movie, but it's just not as well put into the story, which kind of makes the pacing of this movie extremely clunky and a little bit slow and sort of going up and down while you're watching it. In this one, you kind of do feel these are two characters that are just living in their own movies. Swear to God, Terrifier and Art the Clown is living in his own movie, and Sienna is living in their own movie. And then at some point throughout the end of the movie, they just clash them together and have them fight. That is practically my only real critique of this movie. I didn't hate it because the things that it is trying to achieve and why the audience even comes in here for, they're still A1 at. You know, the visuals and the practical effects, the gore, the artistry of the filmmaking, the personality and art in his deaths and his kills are still A1. They're still fantastic. It's just the everything else that is just not as well fleshed out, that I think you would just, while you're watching it, get a little bit bored of those moments. And this movie isn't an hour and 30. Both movies are like 2 hours long. So there's a lot going on here. But in that second movie, it kind of does give itself a reason for why it is that long. This one, it kind of doesn't feel like it has a reason to be as long as it is. It feels like a lot of this could be cut out, because by the third act, it does just cut out a lot of the character beats and the characters in the story that we've been following throughout the whole movie just to get to the art in the Sienna in the crazy kills. They kind of just throw all those things out. It throws away a lot of things that they've been setting up with our characters. It feels a little bit unfocused. uncaring. And then it just sort of brings in this fantasy element just to get Sienna out of this situation and just to give us like an action scene and some weird visuals that are good to look at, but you're just kind of uninterested in. Now, this movie does have a lot of heart to it as well. I like during that first half before they kind of throw away all these characters. I like what they're doing with these characters. They give these characters a lot of heart. They give these characters a lot to work with. They get these characters a lot to help you connect with them as characters in this story. I just wish that he would have stayed focused with them as the movie went on instead of kind of just throwing them away for some more dumb gore. Ultimately, I still really like this movie. I don't think it is as good as a Terrifier 2. I don't think it is as smooth as Terrifier 2. I don't think it has anything near that bedroom scene of Terrifier 2, but I still do think it's great. I still do think it has great gore effects. I still do think art is still great. I still do think it looks great. I still do think it sounds great. I still like it. And if I were to rate Terrifier 3, give this baby 8 out of 10. It's still fun to watch, man. It's still entertaining to watch. And I think you'll be thoroughly entertained by it. I mean, you're probably not even going to be looking for these character moments. You're just mostly going to be looking for the kills. And all of those are still A1. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to get your 10 out of 10 movie. Do you agree? If so, leave a like. If you disagree, subscribe, because I say a lot of opinions. Eventually, we're gonna twin it up. So you might as well subscribe and keep coming back, because eventually we will agree. And if you fully agree and you liked everything I had to say and you love how the way I look and you love how the way this looks, man, go ahead and like and subscribe. But if you just like what I had to say and you agree, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and as always, good and bye.